Welcome back to Girls Only Hoops Season 2, Episode 2. My name is Candace Allen. We are here at the Theater People Studio. Please follow Girls Only Hoops on all of our social media platforms at Girls Only Hoops. We have a very special episode today. We're going to be talking about all things sneakers, especially women's sneakers, the history, the future, the fashion, design, all that good stuff. We have a very special guest, the one, the only, the expert, the quick queen, the kit queen herself, Khadijah Islam-Dudley.
How you doing?
Thank you for joining me today.
Yes. Ooh, we
like,
got it.
I don't even know where to start. Sneakers, that's your thing, your inspiration. We've known each other a long time.
Yes, we have.
Didn't even know back then that was what it is, was going to turn into. But, like, break it down for me how you got into sneakers, just the history of you and a passion for it.
Basically, so, I mean, in high school, because we went to high school together, I've always loved sneakers, but I've always liked art. So I figured that, like, at least sneakers in the 90s, they were real artistic and loud and that type of thing. So that was kind of like hand in hand. And then, you know, everybody wants to be fresh. So, but I really got into sneakers because that was a way to express yourself. If you had on a muted outfit, you got some red sneakers on or something like that. I mean, I've been doing... as far as like sneaker reselling, collecting, sheesh. I've been collecting probably since I was 11 or 12.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so then with playing basketball,
right.
it heightens. So it's like, I do have a season, you know, a season. So you got, and now it's like, I'll just play basketball more if your parents are going to agree to, you know, so I mean, that's pretty much it. So I mean, like I said, the inspiration, and then you can look at it as culture. I've had mostly, like I have male cousins. And so it's just like, they're throwing on the Reeboks, they're throwing on the Adidas, they're throwing on, you know, the newest Nike Airs. And I'm like, you know, as a kid, that's it. Like, that's it. The whole wall in their room is posters. And so you see it and you're like, this is what this is. You know what I'm saying? So then you just grow into it. And then the next step in anything that you always have is like, now what do I make it as like my own? Because I really wasn't into like, real high tops. So what do I want to, you know? So then I got into like the foreign brands, like the bathing apes and that type of thing. So it's in high school, I just really kind of skated.
Was it muted? Like,
yeah, because
muted.
I'm like, I really didn't want, because I couldn't find those people. I'm like, this is kind of, everybody's not doing this.
They mostly was like Air Forces.
Yeah, it's not like it was now. Yeah. And the other thing is I didn't wear Jordans.
Right.
And that was the thing. I'm like, when I got to high school, I'm like, well, everybody's wearing those, and I had no problem. I love Jordan as a player, but it just wasn't.
That's not your thing.
Yeah, it just wasn't what I wanted to do. So, I mean, I had those Air Force Ones, and the shoes that I used to wear was probably like the low totem pole, because I'm like, you can't go to school, you can't be too, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So, even though I don't know if you remember, there was a couple guys in high school. I remember they used to we didn't ride the same bus, but they used to get on the bus in flip flops.
Yes.
And then change their Air Forces at school.
Yes.
But that was like the big thing I remember. And like you said,
but it had to be, because it was like, I mean, if anybody understands the reference of the stage, you know, from Paid in Full, it's like, that's what high school was. Before that bell rang, hey, I know you see. I may not be in the next class because you're not making. And then by time after lunch, I may not even come back to school unless you had an extracurricular, like. So that was your stage. So, I mean, that type of stuff, you just grow into it. But like I said, I've been doing sneakers for a long time. So I guess 20 plus years if anybody wants to do the math. So it's just like, that's been my thing. So from relationships and business, personal friendships and that type of thing. And I did meet my husband through sneakers. So that's another thing. It's just like, this whole thing has become a part of me, and that's why, you know, I had my son with the moniker Kick Queen. He was like, "What is that?" And so I was like, "You know how people say kicking?" I was like, and then you have, you know, it looks like king. And so I was like, instead of that, I'm queen. You know, I'm a queen. He said, "Nah," like, and now he's 6, but he's just like. I mean, it's cool. And I was like, first of all,
he's going to get it.
Yeah, I'm like, I've had this for a while, so I don't even need your approval right now, little man. But it's just funny how he still knows that about me. And he just asked me just randomly. Like, he just asked me. So it is what it is. But
that's cool. But you've been in the business, like you said, 20 plus years. What is just your overall opinion on sneaker culture? Because it's it's changed a lot. And you said you're a reseller as well. That's had a lot of impact on the culture. But just over the 20 years, what are some of your opinions on just how the culture has changed, evolved, some of the pros, cons?
So sneaker culture, I mean, if you want to say right now, it's just, there's no entry fee to get into sneakers.
Gotcha.
If somebody sees you with a clean pair of sneakers on, they're going to be like, oh, you're a sneakerhead. That term actually was just like written. Nobody in the sneaker community used sneakerhead. It was written, and so then it was like taken, and this is what you mean for it. My personal belief for the term sneakerhead is your knowledge and your love about sneakers. You can have zero sneakers, like the sneakers that you wear every day, not have an exclusive pair of sneakers, and you can be a sneakerhead if you know more than the next man, because that's your passion.
Yeah.
You know, so the sneaker culture grew into something more. You can say, and social media is a positive too, but it's also the entry fee to even hang out with these people.
Yeah.
To put I put this name on me, now I'm a part of your group. That's not how that works. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, you only got your first pair of shoes. I'm all for teaching people, but when you come in with that attitude,
like I got me some Travis Scott.
Yeah, and it's like, that's cool, you know.
Right.
But then again, it's like, no. So the main pro is it's yourself. Like, you get what I'm saying? Your self creativity and your, you know, how you want to express yourself. But then it's like that con is you're conning people into what you really want to do.
Right.
Because there's other shoes, like you said, the Travis Scott. It's not way better, but like he's like a minuscule thing compared to the whole
thing. Yeah. And it's not just Nike. It's not just
that's another
Reebok,
thing.
There's New Balance.
And like I said, like me being a sneaker person not wearing Jordans, that's always a conversation starter.
Right.
And I was like, here's the thing. Jordan was growing up as a kid, not a high school kid, because I kind of separate that. Jordan was my Kobe. If either you hated him or you loved him.
Right.
And I was like, this man is killing every freaking team that I try to find. So I don't even want your shoes right now, Doug. I don't even want it. Everybody got it. I don't even know why. Because I was I don't know why, but like I was a Charles Barkley fan. Like I just thought he just played so hard. And here come Jordan, just wipe the Suns out. We're just wiping them out, dog. Yeah. And even when he played for the Sixers, it's just like, man, let the man get somewhere, you know? Right. So it's just like those things that you take into account is just how your experience to it. And a lot of people don't attach experience anymore. It's just what the next man has on.
Gotcha.
The main thing with the reselling is when I went to school, when I went to college, that's how I had to work on campus. But I was like, hey, there's some extra money to be made. So since I already collected, you'll hear people in the sneaker community use the term one to stock and one to rock. And so I already had relationships with people in the city at the stores. And I'm like, if I can get 2 or 3 pairs, this can kind of make my pair free. Like you will hear that sneakerhead math.
Right.
This makes my pair, no, it doesn't, but it does. In essence, it does. So now you're buying 2 to 3 pairs. And I just heightened it because eBay was big at the time. I had a couple of people, you know, at my school that was okay, but it's just like, once eBay got into the sneaker game heavy, it worked for me.
Gotcha.
So, and that's pretty much it. So those pros and cons is just open. And now you have to just weed out who does. I don't like saying belong, but like who's really here?
Who's official? Like
it's
like some type of hierarchy.
And it's easy for me now being older, where I'm not going to run you down or anything else like that, because I like, and before we even get into the women's basketball, I like the people who promote fakes. And it's just like, and here's the thing. I like you because if I ask you about that shoe and you don't boast about it being fake, then you're not real. You get what I'm saying? That's how that make sense. Okay. But you only have, because you could have fake Air Force Ones.
Right.
Now Air Force Ones did go through a price change.
They like $10 more.
It's like $100 and something. So it's like, but you don't choose to have fakes of those. You choose to have fakes of the most expensive resale sneaker, because Travis Scott's are $200, $180, depending on what model you have. He has models that haven't sold out.
Gotcha.
He has models that sell under retail, but this is the model that you want. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And then my logic is, you can't go to a Mopar show with a cardboard car. You get what I'm saying?
I got you.
So it's like, So you're going to a sneaker show with a so you're not you. So I love you. I have no other choice but to love you.
You disrupting the matrix.
Exactly, because you've made sense in your head, and now you're promoting this nonsense because it's nonsense. But it's like, that's what you're doing. You're telling me I'm not going to spend $1,800 on shoes. That's okay. Then buy a shoe that you can afford.
Right.
I mean, what resale price?
Right.
You didn't get that, So that's the funny thing. So I have to actually love those people, because it's just, hey, that's a part of the culture now, and it's a filthy part of the culture. Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is.
To the point that you just made about you liking, how do you even differentiate between? Because I see homegirl on Instagram. I wish I could shout her out, but she's sniffing the shoe, she rubbing the shoe, she looking at the tag, she flipping it, stamping it, putting a little tag on it. How do you even differentiate between legit and fake?
So, I mean, the first thing with being a reseller, first of all, there's a difference between being a reseller and being, I have to call you like a flipper.
Got you.
So, like I said,
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So the sneakerhead logic, like I said, you get one pair, you get two pairs, and then you sell the other pair to make your pair free. A reseller, every day I have to get up and kind of look at the market. Like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, even if you say, hey, sneakers are in a downturn right now and that type of thing, you have to look at it in a almost in a economic way. If I spend, because we're not spending retail price.
Right.
So I have to charge you over to make my margins.
Right.
If you're not speaking in these terms, you're not a reseller. If you're a flipper and you say, I came out in the morning, I bought 2 pairs of shoes, I was lucky enough to get 2 pairs, and I can make an extra $100 today, okay. The reseller has to extrapolate that. Yeah. And they have to make it make sense. Now you have people who, we'll go to the technology side. People are like, oh, I hate bots. If I don't hit on a bot, I have to buy proxies, not me personally, but if you use bots, you have to buy proxies, servers. Now you have to. I'm giving too much game out, but you have technical. You have to buy proxy servers, IP addresses. Then you have to, with those proxies, depending on what type of website you're on, I have to pay for that. These are monthly subscriptions. Some of them are annual. Some of them are per use. So you got to make up
all the costs.
You have to make up all of that cost. Now, I'm not saying we're not the bad guys, okay? Right. But what I'm saying is, I've seen more positive reselling out of, like, we just got out of the holiday season. Right. Okay, if a parent has no clue, and their kid with their big brown eyes show them that phone, this is what I want. I get the text message. Now I got to become Black Santa and figure this out. Because my next question to every parent is, they show me the picture or they send me the picture. Hey, Khadijah, or I got your number from somewhere. What is your budget first, parent? And then we go through that. That's a reseller. And I take pride in that, because I don't just want your money. We are fulfilling a need right now. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what sneakers means to me. I don't want your kid just with, because some kids can come out with some crazy stuff, then they send it with their parents, and you're like, this shoe is $400. Now, they might have told you that 3 of their friends had on it, but you got to know what their parents or what the friends spent on it. So that's how I look at reselling. So those two things that came into flipping and reselling, this is a business. I take this serious. From sending people things, as far as pictures and videos, me packaging stuff up for you. I'm not just throwing your stuff in the mailbox. Customer service, these things matter. And it's just like, when you're a business, that's it. That's another thing. You can register.
That's how you can. Yeah, you can separate it too.
You have to, because everybody can do this. I'm not saying it's hard, but can you do it to my level? Absolutely not. And 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with my length of years being in this. It's just about my moral. This is my moral creed. You got some integrity. Yeah. And that's the whole thing of it. So yeah.
See, I told you, we bringing people with knowledge, breaking it all down, but not to continue on to this, but I do want to get to this point. How is it for you being a woman in the sneaker culture, and especially with this much experience? Because there are some entities, as in the workforce, it doesn't
Right.
matter if it's a hobby or anything. Even what I'm doing now.
Females get this sticker.
Yeah,
It's the scarlet
oh my
letter.
God, you talk about sports?
It's
what do you know?
What else can you do?
What can you do? So sneakers.
It's funny. I mean, it's a like the previous question you asked me with the legit and real thing.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, legit and fake thing. If I was to break down a sneaker in front of somebody, and I can do that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one thing to do in front of somebody, they'll probably get mad, because here's the way you position your question to me is, if you say, are these fake or are these legit, it's already in your head. I'm going to give you that answer. It's
Gotcha.
already in your head.
Yeah.
That these are what? Not real. Anything I say,
They
because
ain't
I'm not your pastor, I'm
Right,
not your
right,
mama,
right.
I'm not your girl.
Right.
I can't sway you in no way.
Right.
But then you have some people who can take that and be like, all right, never mind. You
Yeah.
know? Then you got some people who get mad. They gonna call me out my name and say, you don't know what you're talking about. I be like, dog, you text me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So those are those funny things. And what I mean, and I told you, off camera, my day-to-day, I'm getting called bro, man, thanks. and it's just because some people get my number or my information, or even if they contact the business, it's just not top of mind to them.
Got you.
You know?
They just thinking shoes.
It's just shoes. And then 9 times out of 10, if they always say, well, I never see too many females do this. Now, it's so funny because we have a lot of sneaker stores here in the city.
Right.
I don't walk into any of them and they all have male
True.
staff. So it's just
So
like,
true.
so
That's
it
all
can't
facts.
be,
It's all facts.
so it's like, but you see us,
Right.
you see me. Do you think she's there for
Mind
because,
blown. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's so
Do you
facts,
think
it's
she's
like-
just there for eye candy, or what are we doing?
Right.
Like, so
she can work to go get your sneakers from the bag, but breaking it
Yeah,
down sneakers
but you
for
can't have no
you
conversation
can't have
with
no
her.
conversation.
It's the car salesman
blown.
thing.
Got you.
It's the
Yeah,
car
yeah,
salesman
yeah.
thing. You gotta bring somebody. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'll grab a homeless man off the. We gotta look like we know what we doing, dog.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And just to go into that a little bit more, we focused on just your experience as a woman in the sneaker community, but then we get into the lane of just sneakers devoted or developed for women.
Yeah.
Now we see, at least to me, there seems to be a bit of transition. A lot of the retros and things like that, they'll put, this is marketed for women. Now granted, anybody can buy them, because you do see men with the women's sneakers on technically, but it seems to be a growing evolution of making shoes specifically for women.
Yeah.
Regardless if they're, they are genderless, but
Yeah.
you'll see pink shoes. You'll see, like I said, certain shoes that are just specifically for women, or a lot of the New Balances. Because to me, New Balance owes women a lot of money, because
Right.
them wasn't a thing.
I
In
never
high
thought about it
school.
like that. Yeah.
But them,
Yeah.
how they be flexing them New Balances with all
Yeah.
their different outfits. I'm sorry, I'm crediting that to women
To
and
women.
their influence on the culture. But what are just your thoughts on women's shoes, sneakers, things that are being developed for women's sneakers?
I think like the corporate world, when I hear from friends that I have that work at these companies, at the larger shoe companies, that when they say that women thing, and I said, well, what do you want? Like you said, like you mentioned the color schemes, and it's just like the pinks and the purples and the neon. So back in the 80s, it's like those were the only colors pretty much that they were using in the palettes, unless it was a sports shoe. You get what I'm saying? Because you got Jordan getting fined if he has on red and black. So it's just like those types of things became, well, if we're going to take this off court or off of wherever, then we have to make it pop and that type of thing. So it's funny because when you look at it, it's like it's the story for women. Amon Nier makes stories for women. They don't make shoes for women.
Got you.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if anybody knows those shoes, I mean, right now I think they have probably the next one will probably be 6. But I mean, the way they have made those stories, and the guy has continued that story with every release.
Yeah.
And it's just like the James Whitaker group. When he continues those stories, that's what gives it the women feel.
Gotcha.
It's not the shoe. Like I even like the shoe myself, but it's just like that's your positioning, not how pink the shoe is, how girly it can be, because that may not be me and you both, we have worn men's sizes because, hey, I always hear, that is the first thing. This didn't come in my size. And I'm like, certain things don't, I was like, I have seen, there is a Jordan, and like I said, I really don't wear Jordans, but there is like, okay, so Vashti Kula came out with the first, she's a fashion person. She's a, you can credit her with a lot of things, fashion influencer and that type of thing.
Right.
But she came out with this Jordan. It was all purple. It was a Jordan 2. When she came out with this shoe, it was like, it's a women's size shoe. So I said, cool, I'll just buy my size. No. We stopped at your size. And I'm like, well, where can I go to get that? I have never been able to find this shoe. I did a panel with someone, and she was from Cleveland. She said there was 2 stores that was supposed to get them. One actually put them out. She thinks the other one, like, backdoored them. But she was all like, I actually have a size men's 8. I said, anytime you get tired of it.
Right.
So I see a lot of that when people talk about sizing. But then I go back, Candace, to when they had the low Jordan 11s, the pink snake skins. I saw boys with those. So it's just like, it's not a, it's like, so what are we, like, you don't, just keep the story to it. If the story is for women, I probably won't catch feelings. And I'm one of many, but it's just like, when I hear women say that, well, let's make it in my size. And I'm like, the size can't, because I can't feel your argument on that one. Right. Because I've been this size since high school. So I'm not missing out.
Right.
And it's just like, and then if it's all like grade school sizes, 7 and below, I'm done. I can just like it from afar. Yeah. So it's just like, so you're going to miss someone. Then like you said, you have athletic shoes that I guess, what do they used to call them back in the day? They're not cross trainers. That's exactly what they used to call shoes that could cross from. So now you have these cross trainer shoes that women just took the aesthetic and was like, I'm going from the gym to the store. And now you see a shoe that you don't see at the gym and you see it at the grocery store. So that's how all that's changed because the style has changed too.
Right.
And so those are those things. So to me, as long as the story's attached, and please attach a good story.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get PR people in there that graduated. Let's get that to write a story, and that can invoke feeling and emotion, and that's why people are buying them. So, I mean.
Yeah, I get like, there's so many points I can grab for you. One, like, it took a minute to figure out what women's size that I wore. Like you said, when I was young, it was just, I wear a men's 8. I don't wear a men's 8.
And then you're looking at, and then the person looking at you like.
That don't fit me. Now it's like 5 times too big. So what size shoe in women's do
And then
I wear?
Also like the cast that they use. Sometimes the women's shoes have this narrow foot. I don't have a narrow foot, so to speak. And it might be because we did play basketball over our younger years that our feet are not
and now
narrow.
They're jacked up now and it's a big shoe.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just like you have this whole thing that's just, it's like I call it you're screaming in an empty room.
Right.
You're only hearing your ideas. You're not asking women, what do you want in a shoe?
Right.
And then going from there. But that's why the story is so important, because you can at least get me interested.
Yeah.
Even if I don't want to buy the shoe, you can at least get me interested. I'm sharing it with people I think that will like it and that type of thing. Because to be honest, men don't need a story.
No.
So
no. And let me not get on there. I'm like, a lot of them just gonna see what somebody else wear and want to copy it.
Yeah.
We want to make sure what outfit this goes with.
Yep.
Ones that we can wear to the store. Ones we can dress up with an outfit. Ones we can wear to the office. Yeah. Like,
we'll get more uses. It's girl math. This math is important, people. Okay.
Right. It's girl math. And then don't get me started on, I think a lot of especially, I'm not going to say the app or the company, but they've transitioned into marketing women's shoes as is to not give grade school. So now I can charge you the same price. Yeah. So that X amount of money.
I think it's like a smaller men's.
Right.
And then that's another thing when it comes to reselling, your knowledge has to be more extensive than that person that's contacting you. I've had people, I wear a 10.5 boys. Look, I don't know if you can go to Nordstrom with that and say you still in the misses section, but we're not in there. You're not in there. Yeah. You don't belong here. I'm sorry, you belong.
You're in the men.
You're in this section. Okay?
Get that extra $75.
And it's like, no, I don't wear that. Yes, you are. Yeah. And if you, I don't know what Temu size is. I don't know, but that's not a 10.5.
They hit you up with Temu sizes?
because whatever shoe, and it's so funny. Okay, so like whatever shoe people ask me for, we're gonna start with, of course, your budget. But do you have this same brand already? Like, have you already bought a shoe? Because there's no need to ask these questions over and over. We're not because my jargon is different than the average consumer's jargon. So it's just like, now I have to, my boss, God rest his soul, my old boss at my job, he used to tell me, know your audience. So if I have a person hit me up, they're using words like DS, they can be, I mean, it's let me see, it's like DS, or they'll give me the number or the SKU or something. I know who I'm talking to.
Got you.
If somebody sends me a picture, I already know what's going on. What are these?
Right.
And that's
that
how you have to.
That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
sense.
Now, some shoes I can break it down. Other ones, no. I'm sending you a straight picture.
Right, exactly.
This is what I need. But thank you for the history and all that
No
good
problem,
stuff. Listen,
no problem.
we got legit certified. We're not talking to somebody who doesn't know her stuff who's here. But in our next segment, we're going to get into the history of women's basketball shoe. It seems to be all the rage because, you know, there's players who have shoes, want to have shoes, who don't have shoes, X, Y, Z. But we just want to give a review on the players who have had shoe releases. We're also going to talk about a few of the players who deserve their own signature shoe. And then, you know, we're going to break down somebody's top 5 shoes as well. So stay with us. This is Girls Only Hoops Season 2. Welcome back to Girls Only Hoops Season 2. We're going to get into the history of women's shoes, signature shoes in basketball. That's our sport. That's what we're going to focus on. There's been about, I think, 11, 12 players in the history of the game who've had signature shoes. So we're going to get right into it. Again, I'm Candace Allen here with the Kit Queen herself. The first player, she's probably had about 7 signature shoes, is the legend herself, 4-time champ, MVP, you name it. Sheryl Swoopes.
Yeah.
It was like you mentioned, we plugging this all together. You need a story to get to a women's shoe. And that kind of defines the Air Swoopes and her development of a shoe. Yeah. She scored 47 points, won a national championship.
Right.
Went on the Olympic team, which is like the dream team.
Right.
She was the women's Michael Jordan-esque.
In my mind, she might be the GOAT.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people give it to, I think, because I had her jersey. So I was like, it took a lot for me to get jersey.
Yeah.
So,
And then the WNBA was going to start.
Yeah.
So they needed that player to market, to highlight all of it.
Yeah.
And this shoe, which she wore during the 96 Olympics, was that story. It was the first one. I don't even think we were old enough to even get this shoe.
No, our parents was probably still buying our shoe.
We was in LA Gear.
Yeah. We were Converse or nothing.
Right. But this was her signature shoe. Looking back at it, a lot of it looks like real simple, but it kind of launched,
I think the
history.
Yeah, I think the thing with, like, when you come up with the way women were shaped, athletes, women athletes were shaped, it was a different vibe. Like, I would actually like to talk with, like, designers of that time, because what they were doing was just trying to slim down men. So I've heard they were trying to slim down men shoes, and then just have some input in there that you could do, because, I mean, we talked about the toes and how that works. And then, like, with Nike having Zoom and Nike having Air, it's like, well, we have something to work with already.
Right.
But then it's like, how can we put this not in a running shoe and then just have it functional? Mm-hmm. And when her shoe came out, like, I was too young to actually know it, but, like, once you got old enough to see how her shoes were, I think it was like the 3, which is like the Air Swoopes, and that's the one that has like this claw.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there, and you're like, this shoe looks, just off the aesthetic, this looks like this is a basketball shoe. Right.
I think we have a picture of that.
Do you have the
We got 3? The 1s, we got the 2s, which I have on. I don't.
The 3s were the one. It's called Air Swoop, so it's like the one that has like a claw.
Yeah, we'll get the picture up there.
Because that one. I mean, that one was good.
But that was the shoe for me.
That made you.
That was it.
Yeah.
Like, I
because
remember,
it has to look like you get what I'm saying. Like, certain shoes just looks like, you be like, oh, it's a basketball shoe.
Yeah, and they made that.
But
just
you're like,
for,
oh, this one got actual design.
Right.
Yeah.
It was for me. that Air Swoopes 3, I remember Chamique Holdsclaw wore them in 98 for the national championship game. But when
Candace is like, what are those?
What are those?
She said, congratulations. What are
those? But it was like the first shoe where it was like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And them the swoops.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Because you see what Nike was trying to do with them.
Right.
Because initially, like, so if you go before the Air Swoopes, there's a women's OG like Jordan Nike. They took, there you go. Yeah. So they took halfway from the Jordan 13 and all that. And so they were trying to make it into something. But like you said, that Air Swoopes, when you looked at it, you said, oh, I'm going to look at the shoe first and then go into, well, why would we put a claw on the side of it? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And now you're like you said, the lady with the smelling and all. Hey, because it's like that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy because some people say that sneakers have a smell, and they really do. Like, you know what I'm saying?
When they new and they fresh.
Yeah, like it's like new car smell, but just I'm taking that shoe and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what this can be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
I'm putting
Sheryl
it in
Swoopes,
with the Quick Queen right now. Air Swoop 3s, wherever I need a fresh pair.
She made a request, y'all.
Look, I'm putting the request in. Women's size 8.5. Like, I want these shoes.
It definitely needs a retro. It needs a retro, and it needs a retro with the right, not even story, but the right rollout.
Yes.
Because I don't know, like, I know this isn't a basketball shoe, but they did the Comets for them winning their
dunks.
And it was like, that's cool, but y'all gotta make a commercial. Y'all
didn't have no storyline.
Yeah, and like, hey, me and my homegirl both was online, and she was like, I don't even want to buy the shoe because they didn't do it right. And I was like, girl, calm down.
Shirt. You couldn't get a jersey.
That's what I told her. I was like, they could have did something else to make that shoe for what it was instead of just having the years, you know what I'm saying, on the back of the shoe. It could have been so much better.
Right.
But that, I mean, literally the Air Swoopes, it needs something.
Yeah.
But it needs the right, because like we were talking about before off camera, we think that's Sheryl Swoopes' thing. She wants the right person to get a retro.
I think somebody in mind could pull it off, but they're at a point in their career they need their own signature shoe. But I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that, though. I'm going to save it till we talk about it. Yeah. Okay. But she's had about 7 signature shoes. And like I said, she's one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT.
Yeah.
And she kind of started it off. They were fairly successful, but as her career went, obviously, you try to look for different players of who can have their own shoe. But Sheryl's the queen of shoes. She's the one player who has 7 different editions, which hasn't been the case for a lot of women. They get a couple, but we'll get into that history a little bit. Okay. The second player after Swoopes, let me say, Swoopes' reign went from, in terms of signature shoes, from 1995 to 2001. And then everything she's accomplished in between them. The next player was Rebecca Lobo, Hall of Famer. Yeah. And one of the reasons she got her shoe is because during the same storyline, I'm gonna run it into the ground. But it was undefeated season at UConn. Yep. She was kind of like the darling coming into the USA team. If you've seen the documentary Dream On, it is very informative. She probably didn't have the best experience, but she was the best player in college. She was the first signee to the New York Liberty. And it was like the all-American girl, I'm having this shoe. And when going back and looking at her shoe, it looked very much like you just said. It was a men's shoe, and they just tried to craft it around a women's play.
There's a shoe that's similar to this, and I'm trying to think if that was around the same year, but Shawn Kemp's shoes, the Rainmaker, looks like her shoes without a sheath, like the front thing, because the Rainmakers had a front thing. But the thing that got me with Rebecca Lobo, because I remember her in the league, UConn at the time, and they probably still don't, but like they're not seen as like rough and tumble type people. Right. So her going to New York, I was like, oh, okay. And it's so crazy because back then it wasn't straightforward information. You had to either watch ESPN or you just didn't know, or you're talking about it with your coaches or something like that. Like you had to be around basketball to understand this. But we saw it, you know what I'm saying? Like just watching the game. Yeah. So I'm like, wait, why they put her in New York? She came from UConn. So you're sitting there and you're like, she's the next. Right. And so I think that's why they did. Now I like the competition with, as far as like not going with Nike. Right. It was a Reebok shoe. I've never, to be honest, like as long as I've been in shoes, just to find her shoe. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you can find Swoopes shoes and make, and that's another thing where social media can be a positive. You can now find, and then just the internet, you can find production numbers, you know, and so sometimes it just was a competitive thing.
Yeah.
So we're not pushing out, and like the average shoe, to be honest, is like 100,000 to tell anybody, you know, but people all think that they should get the shoe, and it's like not even $1 million is enough. You have to continue to churn these out, and if depending on how the size works. So to me, for her to have her shoe, it looks like a shoe just for her.
Right.
I mean, on her frame and stuff like that.
It's like a player edition.
Yeah. And it's just like, I knew her shoe, but to be honest, until I got older, I didn't know it was her shoe. We used to see the posters and even in the magazines, and then it's just like, you didn't know what it was.
It wasn't marketed like, oh, these are the logos.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yes, this is the Lobo one. So you heard the story and then you like on to the next thing.
Right.
Because God love East Bay and R.I.P. because that's where you learned it from.
Learned.
Like you couldn't just ask your friends at school. Like with the information that was available to us, y'all have to understand the struggle.
It was not, it's not the same.
So it's just like, I'm like, oh, she got an East Bay ad.
Right.
And then it's like a couple of pictures. She's holding the shoe. Because I think her one poster, she is so you're like, okay, but then I remember the Sean Kemp commercial.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying?
It's a commercial picture.
Yeah, there you go. It's a difference. And then like I remember she had I think it was Sneaker News when they were talking, they had an interview about all of these women having shoes, and they just asked them. And she was like, I remember when I walked into the store and I saw my face and all of this on a poster. So it's just like, I get it. I get it. But like when we was kids and it was happening, you like, I don't know if I can.
Right.
Because I'm not 6'7", Mom. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So that's what that was.
Right.
But I mean, definitely deserved.
Yes, absolutely. She's a Hall of Famer. But it was one of those ones you don't know that.
Right. And because most of the people on the, you know, I mean, if anybody watched Martin, most of those women that was on that squad
got their secret shoe.
Yeah, because they had to build the WNBA because those were the faces that we saw. They're running through teams, and it's like, yeah, we got the dream team with Jordan, but they never lost.
Right.
Like, you know, so it's just like they deserve something. And I was thankful for the WNBA, but yeah. Definitely.
Another player on that team, it's like this is the storyline that just runs through. And you know what? You're onto something with that because somewhere on this list, and we'll get to it, that storyline got broke. Like the story ended, the edition ended, the author left, everything, and it was just kaput for a number of years. Right. But the next player was Lisa Leslie. If you remember, it was Lisa, like Tina Thompson, and Kyla Pratt was in it, and Swoopes. She had them commercials where she was like,
she was like looking up to them or something like that. She was asking them questions. I know what you're talking about. Your baby can't make no jump shot.
Yeah. They had commercials and everything, but Lisa Leslie had her own shoe. Another Hall of Famer, scored 101 points in I think one half in a high school game, something crazy. A part of the same Olympic team. When I look at her shoe, though, I see LA. She's from LA. Okay. It fits LA. Everything about this shoe looks like a model Lisa Leslie Hall of Famer, 2 championships. Yeah. Like even when she was hooping in these. When I don't know if I would get them because, like I said, the positions were different. But this looks like they were made for Lisa Leslie.
The funny thing about Lisa Leslie to me was, like, I was all like, I saw her as the bigger Rebecca Lobo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Rebecca Lobo came in with all that pedigree. But, like, Lisa Leslie, like you said, it's the information. Because the kids have to understand the information age. Right. So when you saw these people, it was, like, sporadic. And then you look up and they're there. Even her having that weave that's on there, that basket weave, and like you said, it gives you that whole feel of luxury,
like
and that type.
Chanel bag.
And it's just like that's what you want, and you see design because I've heard that these designers were like, well, we have to ask them what you get what I'm saying, and it's just like I said, hers has a max bubble. So it's just like we have these they own those. Yeah. So it's just like it's different from Reebok and Adidas because they don't own Addy Light, and then Reebok doesn't own that little honeycomb thing that's in there. So they get that from another factory. So it's like you got the world at you get what I'm saying? And when you try to get to the companies, like I know they ain't got nothing to do with basketball, but you remember when Venus and Serena came in? and they were with Puma.
Yep.
And then Puma's like, Nike said, y'all win a couple, bro. We gonna have to come get you, baby. We gonna have to come. So that's what it is. That was the pinnacle. And then some people just chose the other side to have a competition. And it's a good competition to have.
Oh, for sure.
It's similar to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson with Converse.
Fact.
And then you got, you know.
Fact.
So
then they were like,
I'm so glad you said the Chanel bag, because that looks exactly like a Chanel bag. Yeah, like that's kind of crazy. I've never even looked at it like that, but that literally looks like that.
It looks very much Lisa Leslie. And real facts, though, I think they should get another retro release. I think there are players.
We will be okay. Like top 5 pack, like a GOAT pack. And whoever catches feelings, it doesn't matter. But a GOAT pack will be okay.
It'll be fine. And then in the women's game, too, I think especially in the W, there's a resurgence. Not a resurgence. There's still an existence of a pure center.
Yeah.
Even in the men's game, we talk about stretch forwards and positionless
There's
basketball.
no center in them.
And the W, all the best players play that positionless 3-4-2. But there's some legit centers in the W. Kalani Brown down in Dallas, Tierra McCowan, Aaliyah Boston. She's with Adidas though, but I'm serious. They would rock. Shakira Austin, shout out to producer Kayla, that's her player. They could rock a retro Lisa Leslie. I guarantee you.
Even if you just
they
have
can
a
sell out a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's so crazy because the ease of it now. Because with them owning that, they still own that. They probably still own that design. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Even if you had like for the rookie or like all-star games and somebody can take this idea or whatever else like that, but they wear retro shoes.
Retro shoes. That would be the perfect
it's with your
opportunity
respectable
to do so.
brand, because I know a lot of people have brands, but it's just like, why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah.
To pay homage. Like, this is the 30th year, this is the 20th, so let's pay homage to the people who had to start this. And that's pretty much it, because like you said, these younger players still have the bones of it, because just how the game is. Now they might play a little bit faster and all that type of stuff, but it's like the bones are still there. So let's just try to, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
And they ain't gonna steal your idea. They need to credit it. Kick Queen. If you see any player at the All-Star game in Phoenix in retros, you know where it came from.
Right.
The next shoe is from Cynthia Cooper. Now, I will admit, researching this, I knew one of these shoes were the signature shoe.
Yeah.
I didn't know this one was her first one. These were the Air Max Shake 'em Up. I did not know it was. I thought it was like the first PE.
I didn't know it was hers.
I didn't either.
And that's the information age thing. I'm like, I seen the shoe. I thought it was, there's a older, the Barrage. I think there was a 90s shoe that was like that. So, I mean, you saw a lot of people wearing Pippins and stuff like that. This has a Pippin look. So, I mean, with the scrunchy socks and what they used to wear, at first, I remember, like, no, she's just playing in Pippins. And it's like, that whole thing, it's the age of information. Because it's just like, God, now these are, that was her shoe. And it's so interesting because Cynthia Cooper, in my mind, like, I know Sheryl Swoopes has the accolades, but in my mind, she was like the guy who didn't get weekends off. That's how much she was in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like,
she came in, I think, what was she, like a 37-year-old rookie or something crazy?
And that's what I'm saying.
First 2 MVPs, Hall of Famer, national champion, all of it. But like you said, it was Lisa, Rebecca,
it was
Cheryl. But then here it come. Maybe that's what this shoe was. It was like,
it's orthopedic.
We're going to give you this right now because you're tearing up the W.
Right. But I thought she needed more. Yeah. Because, and like, I don't, like, because when they put them on the team, like, talk about a super team.
They didn't do their research. We got to do a sidebar real quick. They didn't do their research. How you put Sheryl Swoopes, Cynthia Cooper, and then your number 1 pick is Tina Thompson. And what people forget about, Jeanette Arcane was the number 1 player in Brazil.
That was literally, when we talk about super teams, I'm like, I don't know if y'all see the Comets roster.
Super team. And it ain't close.
And nobody, like, they used to get there all the time because what was the team here? Cleveland Rockers and stuff. Like, it's just like, when those East Coast teams, it was so bad at one point. It was so bad at one point in time, and you're like we didn't have a name for it. It's the age of information. transformation thing. We didn't have a name for what was going on.
Right.
And I was so mad because I'm a Laker fan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the Sparks gotta get it. And I'm like, oh, Lisa Leslie, oh, we in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
They had to wait.
Hold on, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, y'all. Now, why y'all got all those people over there? Now we don't have enough.
Right.
We don't have enough over here.
Not enough. Y'all didn't have enough until Cynthia retired.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, we need a guard over here, though. We need. Okay, so you just gonna put them all on one team? And you remember they had what was their coach's name?
Ben Chancellor was like a Hall of Fame coach too.
They had everybody was working over there. Everybody was working. So that's the funny thing about Cynthia Cooper and Sheryl Swoopes. Maybe she got lost. I guess maybe she got lost in it.
But I think that's facts. I think she did. It was like, we have our players that we want to market it, but her reign when the league started was so big. It was like, oh, we have to do something.
Yeah,
it was her next shoe. It was called the Air C14.
Yeah.
This is when I was like, oh, okay. She gets, like, put some respect on her.
Nike stole this design. I swear Nike stole this design.
And they still ain't give her a legit signature. Is that what you're telling me?
To me, Nike either saw it has a Jordan 13 feel, right? Like just on the side. But
it sure does.
There's a Fila that's like that. And like, I mean, I don't know
the shape is similar to the Grant Hill shoe.
There it is. Is that it? Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we sharing notes, or are we just copying over because there's a difference between passing notes and then know. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you see, they had the bubble. They was like, we gonna get this bubble. We gonna get, because we own that. And then they had the Nike Air. Another thing that they didn't do for a lot of the shoes is they didn't put enough like logos.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think
the designers were that.
No.
You get what I'm saying?
And now that you mention it, I don't think Swoopes had a logo.
She didn't have a logo initially.
It was just her name.
Yeah, but they
there's
started
no better
with
name in basketball than Swoopes.
It was kind of like a S with it. They had it for T-shirts because there's a vintage shirt that has it, but it's not.
It's not a Jordan.
It's not the
LeBron,
Jumpman. It's not.
Yeah.
I think they started focusing on it, and now that I'm trying to think about it, everybody who's had even Jeremy Lin, they've made a logo first.
Right.
And then it comes from the shoe. So, yeah, because like we said, unless you're watching the games, you don't know this either.
Right.
If you walk because that's the difference. When you walk into the store, I should be able to identify it, by the logo. It's just like burgers. I mean, you have the golden arches.
What you're saying is, though, Cynthia Cooper needs a signature retro release completely of her own design.
I think she's just old so much because, like, I remember watching them as a kid, and I'm like, I love Sheryl Swoopes, but this lady right here, I never. And
that was like her whole career.
Right. And she never got.
Right, because in college she played with Cheryl Miller, who never had a signature shoe.
That's what I'm saying.
Then you get to the pro, she plays with Sheryl Swoopes, so they went with Swoopes first. But it was like Cynthia never got that. I'm gonna get you your signature. I'm gonna get you your logo. I'm gonna get you your own specifically designed shoe.
She just deserves a lot in my opinion. But they were a super team. Now that I think about it, like I think of that roster.
Super
that's
team.
crazy.
They're talking about the Liberty, the Aces. No,
right.
The Houston Comets were a super team. The next player who had some Columbus ties was Nikki McCray. Rest in peace.
My homegirl.
A lot of people don't know, again, the history of just the league. The ABL was here in Columbus. She played for the Columbus Quest.
Yeah, the Quest.
At the convention center.
I found a Columbus Quest sweater. I bought that jump with the quickness, and I'm sure the seller was like it was like $65. I was like, and he's like, oh, this is bro, you don't even have to tell me the history. I live here. Like, I was like, Katie Smith probably got all the records there still. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know she had one.
She had her own signature shoe. Yeah. She's been the first and only woman to have a signature shoe with Fila. And if you put the math together, this was right around the time that Grant Hill got the deal with Fila.
Okay.
So it was like we have our men's player who has their own shoe who's dominate, and Nikki McCray, again, a part of that U.S. Olympic team in '96, again, two-time champ in the ABL. University of Tennessee, so she had that Pat Summitt connection. She was always fly.
Always.
That's
what I'm saying. Like, that's my homegirl. It's just
fly. And she had a signature shoe. And I should say, the first female basketball player who had $1 million contract for a signature shoe.
She deserved it.
Yeah,
she deserved it.
And I don't want to be the dour person, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know the contract details of like Stewie's shoe or Sabrina's shoe or anything like that, but so many players didn't get that from all those years.
Right.
Didn't get that $1 million deal. Yeah. Nowhere close to it.
But it goes back to we'll let you play with somebody else until we can get you here.
Right.
Like, I mean, the big boys play the big game.
Right.
I don't need to shoot myself in the foot and offer you 200. If you over there taking 500,000, I'll just offer you a little bit more. So it's a fortunate and unfortunate thing. But that's why I said, just to keep that competition going, I think a lot when you look back and see these other brands of sneakers, you were like, you could have competed a little bit more. But see, like you said, with the $1 million contract, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because at that time, she deserved, like, you get what I'm saying? And it's like they kind of carried that league. That Columbus Quest joint, you get what I'm saying?
Sure
like
did. And
they had dogs on that team. So it's just like you kind of gotta give it to her. And if you're coming with anything less, you get what I'm saying?
Right. And I felt like she was one of those players they wanted to market. If I'm not mistaken, she was headed to the Washington Mystics because there was like an expansion team at the time. So once she got there, it was like, this is our player to market. Which made perfect sense.
Absolutely, because I think, did Washington still have, was Jordan playing at the time?
He very well could have, around the same time.
Because I remember when they came in, and I mean, a lot of people, I mean, it's been so weird. I know you call it the W, but like the WNBA, bro, it's just, it's this up and down thing.
Right.
At least in my life, because it's just like, there's no way that you can't run with what's going on.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, we have leagues that's the big there's spaces for males to play the game and be successful and be seen. And then you're not expanding the main one here. So what else do you expect me to do? You get what I'm saying? And that's, I mean, because it's just like I said, like the timeline. Like I think Washington came in when he went back to you get what I'm saying? Because the Wizards wasn't doing anything. So it's just like you got it's enough bread at the table. It's enough
for
bread
everybody.
At the table,
And believe it or not, the next play again, rest in peace to Nikki McCray. She's done a lot in basketball. She should be a Hall of Famer. We lost her last year. But again, the first player at $1 million contract, first and only women's player signed a FILA. But the next player is like legend herself, who probably will have her own living legend, Hall of Famer. She's probably gonna be in a Hall of Fame again as a coach.
She's a fashion icon.
A fashion icon. I don't even think
she don't wear any coach's uniform.
Like, she wear Balenciaga. She ain't even in like the regular Nike. Forget Nike. Forget Adidas. Forget them.
I love
Gucci,
Donne so much. It's just this.
But she did have her own signature shoe. Yes, she used to play basketball.
Right.
Again,
you got to tell the information, kids.
She was a part of the same U.S. women's national team. The 96 team had her own shoe in 1999. The Zoom Staley 5s, which are on the screen here.
So, I mean, she got a little logo now that I look at it.
The S.
Yeah, the S and the 5 put together. Like
it kind of fit her.
I get you.
I think at the time they released her shoe,
there was a lot going on.
It was a lot going on. You know what I mean?
Because I used to see her play in her shoes. But I can't recall them being at like a Foot Locker.
No, and you know what they look a lot like? The gloves.
Shit.
The Gary Payton.
Once we put this stuff together, like it's because we didn't have that much. You get what I'm saying? Like we had the East Bays, Candace, but now we see it and we're like, I know what that is.
I know what this shoe is. I'm putting it.
That's so funny, man.
Dog, you need to call Nike right now and tell them
it
not
definitely
to re-release
looks
this
like
shoe.
Like I'm sitting here looking at this like, yo, it definitely looks like
she need a redo.
with the little dots on the side.
Yes, she was an elite defender. The only thing they did was cut off the glove and the zipper. Outside of that, Dawn, call Nike right now.
Hey, yo. She don't know their number because she too high
right
now.
Hey,
y'all call her. Have y'all's people call her.
Call Donne Staley
and
have her. I think their school. I think South Carolina is Under Armour though.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, I see. I wouldn't say. Hey, it's a lot, but
if Nike wanted to make some money on the side, re-release the Donne Staleys.
Man, now that you say that, that's crazy.
But
I'm sitting here. When we have points of reference, it's just different.
It just makes sense. Because I wish you would have never said. They take the men's shoes
I remember my homie saying that. Yeah, and it's just like once he said that, I was like, man, because he's a designer, and he was like, a lot of these things that we're coming up with had a foreground. And now we're just putting a little bit,
Right.
You're putting toppings on the same pizza. You're putting your toppings on the same pizza.
You need a re-release of your own signature shoe. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I'm not going to even say it. I think Jewel Lloyd should rock the Donne Staley retros for the All-Star game. And yes, credit that idea.
Would be so dope. Like, I think I'm literally sitting here thinking it because despite what everybody thinks, and what do you call them, the He-Man Woman Haters Club, every WNBA player has so many links to, even being a reseller. Yeah. I know who has connections and who doesn't.
Yeah.
So my thing is, it might be a phone call or two from a couple of people
and
that
that's
they
all
could
it's
get this
gonna
done.
take. And women they buy sneakers. Like, it's just not.
And as soon as they walk on that floor, us old women, like not
who
older,
got disposable income,
and we gonna be like, it will look so cool to me that if they was to do that, something like that, I guess. Yeah.
Come on, Dawn. Come on, Nike.
Like how they be in the dunk contest with the old jerseys. That's what it will make me feel like.
Do it for the culture.
She said, do one for the one time.
And the next shoe to tie in a little bit with Nikki McCray and the Washington Mystics was Chamique Holdsclaw. Again, I did not know these were her signature shoes.
And I think it comes down to marketing and storytelling.
I always thought this was like the player edition, which I'm not the biggest fan of because I think it's a cop-out. But that's just my 2 cents to the conversation. It's like, here's these specifically for you.
Yeah.
But, we won't give you your own.
Yeah.
But we designed these for you, and you have some say-so.
The good thing about that, because when we get to, she's number 8. Mm-hmm. But when we get to her, I'll explain how that could be beneficial.
Gotcha.
Because but aside from this shock, she made sure she wore LeBron's.
Gotcha.
She expressed that in her contract, and that's what they made. But I'll tell you about that. So let's do this one, and then we'll get to 8.
All right. So Chamique Holdsclaw, people know her from University of Tennessee, 3 straight national championships. She was probably
wasn't that her name?
Huh?
Was that her name?
The
Claw?
Yeah. Bananas. And the 3 Meeks. Shout out to Samika Randall, who's from Ohio. She was like the first, all the hype about Caitlin Clark, all the hype about, Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart coming into the league, Maya Moore. She was like the first pick draft that was like,
you made you pay attention.
One.
Yeah. We're excited to see where she goes.
Absolutely, because she was running the table, and she had 2 signature shoes.
That's a good-looking shoe.
The Meek and then the Shock Meeks too. I did not know these were her shoes.
I didn't either. But you see what I'm saying with the logos? Vince Carter's.
I done leaned back in this chair like 150 times.
Hey,
I'm ruined.
But we shouldn't, because now we're old enough to notice what was going on.
Yes, but
we can respect it, but I gotta check it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
This was supposed to be a good, heavy recap of women's shoes in basketball. And now I'm sitting here like they tried to play these players.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can get the scraps off the floor and do this. Yeah.
We'll give you a little jazzy up, but we won't give you anything original.
You like these laces? We'll put these in there.
But Chamique, again, she was a top-notch player, all-star, all of that. She should be in the Hall of Fame. Had 2 signature shoes. Like, I really can't say much about this shoe because she was my favorite player growing up. Yeah. But like I said, there was no marketing for it. Yeah. There was no going into finish line.
I think it was only East Bay ads and stuff.
That was it. And even then, you probably had to play close attention that these were specifically a Holdsclaw shoe. Yeah. But she's one of those players, I think, especially with marketing. Yes, Nike put a lot of it in terms of billboards and things like that. She had commercials. But in terms of shoe, I think they missed the mark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then also what helps shoes now that I see, like maybe not in the 90s and the early 2000s, but it's just like merch. Mm-hmm. Like from a person that buys vintage, when you see merch, it takes you back to that thing. So, I mean, I know Penny was on a whole different level when it came to that, because to be honest, he was a little bit bigger than Jordan when it came to merch. Like those dolls and stuff, and even with Kobe and LeBron with the puppets, it's just like if you put all together some merch, like I said, her nickname being a claw, you can't come up with anything.
Right.
A T-shirt that's
her first name is Chamique. Well, you couldn't come up with
nothing. Like I think of the Jordan picture, and I know they gave that to Maya Moore, the wings picture. But it's just like she
never had a signature shoe.
But see, when we get there, because I'm gonna say what I need to say about her.
Okay, let's hurry up and get there. The next one on the list, again, same thing, kind of with Chamique, different professional level in their professional careers, but won 3 national championships at UConn. Gonna be a Hall of Famer, still in the W. Probably the only player older than us that's still in the W.
I still watch her and be like, it's kind of like Bron frustrates me, but it's just like, but you got
what else you gonna do?
Yeah,
like
it's
you
like,
just good at this.
It's like if these people leave though,
right?
I'm
that's
not.
it.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know,
the one and only Diana Taurasi, she had, to my knowledge, what we found, 2 signature shoes.
Okay.
But we're gonna let you break down though.
Okay, so
when the signature shoe kind of went
dwindled
away,
out. I think she signed, and this is all like folklore, but I think she signed coming out of UConn. I think they already had the contract written, and then we're gonna sign you. You get picked tomorrow, because I hate how you graduate on Tuesday and get picked for the WNBA draft on Wednesday. But it's like it was already written, and then I think they already gave her a shoe, and then it's just like, but that didn't turn into anything. I think it was her 2nd or 3rd year, because she went through that little rough patch, but it was her 2nd or 3rd year. She started wearing LeBrons.
Right.
And so I know you say you don't like PEs, but her LeBron PEs are higher than LeBron PEs right now on the resale market.
Get out of here.
She has some of the most exclusive PEs, and these colors are bananas. And so a PE, you can the player can either have played in it or not.
Right.
And then certain samples are just, the samples are made in their size and player editions are made in their size, but just however you see it, however the company wants to see it, 9 times out of 10 is Nike, but however they want to market it, like as far as colorways, she'll have home away. Like she has so many. I'm telling you right now, there's a LeBron, is it 7? There's a LeBron 7 Diana Taurasi that right now can I think it's 10-7. And that's $10,000 and 7.
Get out of here.
Because you don't
get that. Is it the exclusivity?
It is.
It? Okay.
It is. So I mean, the boxes look different. I mean, I've had the privilege of having a couple, not in my so I only have 2 in my personal collection, but to broker, I'm a sneaker broker in the middle of it. So getting for customers to actually get it. And when you see these shoes, first of all, the materials are not the same as a released pair of shoes. Okay. Most.
You trying to turn me? I'm still looking at you though. You trying to turn me?
The most the inside of the shoe and it's just for playability. Most of the insoles and that type of stuff are probably taken out and stuff like that. You will see that this shoe has, bones of being, because they wrap their ankles and all that type of stuff. But her shoes, LeBron, that's why I wish LeBron would have kind of did the Jordan thing earlier, because she could have been the first LeBron athlete where you get what I'm saying? She's releasing, but all of her PEs are under LeBron. And he gave her, they have some nasty colorways, especially her being on the Suns.
Right.
Not the Suns, but her
on
being
the Mercury.
her being on the Mercury. When you see them, you're like, man, and I can show you a couple of them, but literally that's her shoes. When she probably begrudgingly wore those.
Yeah. I gotta get these out the way.
To know her attitude.
Right.
She begrudgingly wore those, finished off the contract, and did what she wanted to do.
I'm happy to hear on the resale market, Diana is getting her love.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's still a part of me, she's one of the greatest players, regardless of gender, to play basketball. I wanted her to have a shoe. Not again. These were the first editions. They were still, like I said, we see these. We can probably see iterations of other shoes that got releases. She be treated like a LeBron and say, hey, even if it's under, like you said, his umbrella. But these are specifically for you.
For her.
Now, granted, LeBron did it again with Asia Wilson in the finals, where I think it was either the 21s or the 22s, but they were the velvet black and gold that are not resale because he only made the pair just for her.
Her All-Star shoes was bananas too.
Right.
She had the Cosmic Unities.
Yeah, but I'm part of me is but again, I'm gonna stick on that one because they playing my homegirl.
It's the thing about it is, but I think that's how they can get respect. because a lot of people look at the WNBA as like a toss to the side.
Correct.
These women get some type of respect, like you said, on that market.
Right.
And it's like, but it's for the companies to understand and know how to market it, because you're missing out on something. I think little boys who's playing AAU would do it, to wear shoes if they thought that it was cool enough. For sure. So it's just like y'all not taking the next step. You're taking the first step of having them play, because shoes became such a big part after the 2000s, and
it's part of culture. You didn't wear them just to play basketball.
They have the shoe cam versus a kiss cam, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like shoes is, like I said, there's no entry to shoes. Right. So if you wear your good, who dresses up to go to a basketball game? Right. I go to basketball games now. Hey, I'm gonna put it on there. Like, because you want to be featured. Because that wants to, so I don't know. We'll probably differ on that for a long time. But
I'm just not a fan. Like, Maya's not on this list, but I get it. She had a couple of Jordan PEs that she had were fly, but I'm like, she's Maya Moore. She's one of the greatest players of all time. I think she should have had the first Maya ones, the MM ones. Yeah. You can't tell me those wouldn't have sold. Right. Even a little bit.
Even a little bit, because I think when they signed her, everybody was waiting for it. And then they came out with that 10, and we was like, the Jordan 10. And I was like, that's cool, but I thought they were going to make a shoe for her. So then it came with 2 other ones, and I was like, right, the colorways, I got y'all. But what are we doing in the lab? But I think she stopped that.
I think so too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because let's say,
I can have you back on to talk about Maya Moore's whole career.
I think she loved basketball, but after
she wasn't with the she went in like, give me my own shoe. I don't think that was Maya.
And then we see what she's doing now. Right. So it's just like, I think she didn't want that. Yeah. I don't think she wanted basketball like that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She
might have been. Not her own, but she might have just stopped that. Now that we look at it, she might have just stopped that, Candace. We might have to give her a pass.
Yeah, she gets grace. Yeah. She gets grace. I'm giving Maya grace. But like, Diana was like, for a minute, the last player to get a signature shoe for about 4 or 5 years. It was like a nadir in kind of sneaker culture, not sneaker culture, and women's basketball culture, where it was just like you said, it's a side thing, the W, it's happening, but there's no player out there who we can market a shoe around. And then here comes Candace Parker. Again, we are talking about some of the greatest players, regardless of gender, ever to play basketball. Comes out of Tennessee, has a Pat Summitt connection, 2 national championships.
Her Tennessee run was
nasty. She's dunking in college.
Right.
Rookie of the year, MVP in the same season.
You're obviously, like, you're doing all this. We gotta do it.
You're not normal, so like, we gotta give you a shoe.
So you're not,
so Candace Parker comes in, who's still in the league with the Commanders, the Versatilities. Then she has the Exhibit A's, Exhibit B's, and now the Exhibits. Again, I'll show my old ignorance to basketball shoes. I never knew. And we share the we share the same first name. And like, I grew same way, kind of we grew up with LeBron, we grew up with Candace Parker. Yeah. I never knew these were her signature shoes.
I knew all of her shoes that she had, but what I wanted, because if you go back to her other one, it looks like the D Rose. So you get what I'm saying? So once D Rose had his he had his run. Now we're focusing on who he was. I don't think she wasn't pregnant, but she might have just like got married and something. Like, she kind of took some time off. Right. And so I'm so glad with what first of all, that she stuck with Adidas. Right. Because I don't like, maybe she's one of those people that she's anti, so I don't think she ever wanted to be with the bigger guy. Right.
And then she had that Adidas happened to be the longtime sponsor of University of Tennessee.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you already have
they was already connected.
Because, if anybody knows basketball, they fumbled that bag with LeBron. Right. And they can't go back. They literally fumbled that bag. So you have somebody who's stick-to-itiveness is like, I'm committed to this, I'm doing this, But those, once they got into those exhibit shoes, those things are bananas.
And now that you mention that too, and I think that's where
that is bananas. I've put that shoe on my foot. That is and I haven't played a lick of basketball since then. But that shoe, just on court and off court, and then I mean, I'm kind of biased because orange is my favorite color, but it's just like, I'm like, she played for Tennessee. She got these yellows.
Right.
And then it's like, hey, Candace, when she went to the Sparks, boy, hey, I thought again, we get this, boy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like.
It took a minute.
You're right. So, I'm still fighting, but it's like, to see her stick with it, and then the design changed completely. And then you saw what they. Hey, you want your daughter in the ad. You want us to sit down with you and tell you what this shoe means to you. Man, keep on going.
And like you said, just all of it connecting, and her daughter's in the shoe, and her sticking with Adidas.
Yeah.
I think it was a testament to kind of that partnership, because Aaliyah Boston signed with Adidas. She wears Candace Parker's.
You have to make it look good.
And like, this is like what we wanted, the connection with the players and shoes we talked about earlier of wearing people's shoes. Now we have a legend possibly wearing.
Because everybody doesn't not
deserve.
It's just like, because you have to, like, they at one point in time were handing these out. And like you said, like the last couple years, there was a drought because they were handing these things out.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't, it sounds bad because I don't play professional sports, but it's just like, everybody doesn't need a signature shoe.
You got to build up to it.
And it's mainly markability that's going to get you in that door. The Linsanity, and I don't know, like, I've mentioned him twice, but that was the most banana. Y'all got that done in the weekend.
Right.
And I think he works at McDonald's now. Like, y'all let this man do that to his hair.
Right.
Y'all shipped him off to the Lakers.
Right.
Why do we want him?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? So, to me, you can't tell me that it's hard.
Right.
Because he had 2 shoes.
Right.
So, it's just like, you can't tell me this takes a lot.
Right. Because it really doesn't.
Because it doesn't.
It doesn't.
You had somebody sketch that up.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's the perfect situation for to start a player, Aaliyah Boston being a rookie, to come in
and say, I want to wear the old lady shoes.
I'm wearing Candace Parker's. Like,
yeah.
She's not wearing LeBron. She's wearing Candace Parker's. And I think that's a testament to the growth, but a testament to Adidas saying, we're going to stick with you.
Let's see how we can continue this whole thing.
Correct.
And it's so good that she still plays, though.
Oh, yeah.
And you're still wearing it because it's a line of respect.
Right.
We talk about kids today being athletes that they don't want, everybody's telling them you're him or whatever. And it's like, no, you have to understand who was here before you type situation.
Right.
So,
I think that's perfect. But Candace still playing. She's on the Aces. She'll probably have another shoe next year. We'll see what those look like. But then this was, like we kind of mentioned, it kind of be a nadir, but it was Diana Taurasi. It was Candace Parker. That was it.
That was it.
In terms of signature shoes.
Remember,
until 2022.
Yep.
When Elena Delle got her own shoe. But when you mentioned, like, you give me these good tidbits. Storyline. Now, her storyline, as if you're a fan of basketball and women's basketball specifically, and you know Elena Delle she has a sister who's special needs.
Yep.
And matter of fact, she signed to UConn, but didn't want to be away from home, went back to Delaware, got drafted number 1. I think she was number 2. Brittany Griner was number 1. But she's a WNBA champ, certified all-star. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame, XYZ. But the storyline with her shoe is because since her sister is special needs, she wanted a shoe so special needs players, special needs athletes could have a shoe to wear that you didn't have to tie.
Yeah.
And that was a storyline to the Delle ones, which looked fresh. Like, they looked like a shoe where they said, Elena, come to Nike.
And then give me your feedback.
Give me your feedback.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see him on the men's side. Yeah. You didn't really see him there. Nobody said, hey, let's make a sneaker for people who have disabilities.
Yeah.
I guess they just assumed
that was her whole campaign.
Yeah, they didn't want to wear shoes. This was it.
I didn't know where she came from, if that makes sense. Like she kind of popped up on the scene, and then I was all like, Nike's doing this Fly Ease, because that's the name of the technology, Fly Ease, and I think they used her as the catalyst to just go ahead and print, because she used to, I don't know if she wore something in college.
She was signed with Nike, but the thing about it, like she was signed to UConn but never went. When she went to Delaware, I don't want to say
What did she
the
used
attention.
to wear there?
It wasn't a thing. And
That's
this
what
is
I'm
technology too.
Yeah. I can't position
I
where.
don't know what she wore in college.
Because initially, I know her and LeBron had like a link up, and so maybe she was wearing.
She
LeBron's
was signed with Nike for a minute.
so maybe she was wearing that initially, but like I said, they were pushing Fly E's more than they were pushing her shoe.
Damn.
So you get what I'm saying,
right?
And so I think they even did like a ID of that, but her shoe is nice. It's just too high for my liking.
Yeah.
And I understand just like with that the back part of it, because I buy my parents Fly E shoes because they're just, it
comes in handy.
They're not special needs. They're just older people and they bug me for things. So it's just like, but like you see how they've expanded the Fly E's thing. They come they come in kids shoes, and then it's different sports. Mm-hmm. So I think they kind of focus. Nike sometimes fumbles the bag too because they fumble. I mean, I don't know if you know the Steph Curry thing of how they fumbled that bag.
Yep.
So it's just like, I think she kind of just really didn't feel that.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what I remember for her first shoe.
Okay.
I remember the Fly E's about it. I don't remember it being, and she's a dog, so it's just like.
I thought it was like, thank you for bringing in that history, because it was legit following her career. Like, I was shocked when she left UConn. I'm like, what are you?
Yeah, where are you going?
Who leaves UConn? Like, you don't even show up, and she was like a highly touted player. But then you learned about her sister and all of the
because
sports center stuff.
Now that you said that, I thought she went away. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, when she left UConn, that's when I stopped hearing. You get what I'm saying?
She went to Delaware to play volleyball for 2 years.
There we go. And she just popped back up on the scene. So I'm not crazy, because I was like, I remember the girl they was hyping about.
Right? No.
Okay, so I'm not old. I'm good. I feel.
But shout out to the Delle, because I do still think, like, thank you for tying in the Fly E's part, but they did look like she had some input on those shoes.
Yeah.
Because they are.
But then what makes me mad? Look at the newer Fly E shoes. Yeah. Like I said, I buy them for my parents. My dad has a dope pair, but they're like lows.
Yeah.
And all he does is just put his foot in them. So it's just like, that's because he's an old guy. He's not gonna put it. He's not tying his shoes either. Right. So it's just like the design could have been better, but I love the story too. But I think she probably.
It was just their tie-in part.
Because where do you go from there? If your next shoe. It's
and they
like,
did it, I don't think they knew. Because in our research, we couldn't find the Delle.
Because you pigeonholed her to that Fly E shoe.
Got you.
That could have been the first thing. I big up to my sister, and that's it. So it's just like you kind of missed out on what's her progression of her game.
Right.
And like you said, she's a champion. She's not a pushover.
No.
So she's not a pushover player.
And she's still in the league, and she's still getting buckets.
She's still getting buckets,
And again, we going way back. You when we were talking about Houston Comets and it being a super team. Yeah. That's what UConn would have been if Elena Delle stayed. Because in college, Breanna Stewart would have been there at the same time. And she won 4 straight championships. And, it wouldn't have been fair. But that's the next player. And she has an interesting history in sneakers because she was signed to Nike out of college. Again, Breanna Stewart, 4 straight championships. Yeah. She has 2 championships. I think she has an MVP. She won another MVP this year.
I was about to say she won, this year.
Like legit. She's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer. But she was signed to Nike for years. And from what I can remember is that there was never any kind of talk of how to market Stewie, how to give her a signature shoe. I don't remember her having a logo.
It was a weird time though. Because
it sure was.
It was a weird time for when she came into the league because I'm not sure.
It was like that. It was like a lull. Yes. I don't want to dismiss the W because I love it, but like you said, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And I know like a couple of years before, Brittany Griner, Elena Delle, Skylar Diggins came in that kind of infused it. Yeah. And then Stewie came right after, but it needed that time to build.
It needed an extra push. The funny thing that I think about when I see it, I'm like, the tunnel fits have been positive for them,
right?
Because it gives them a humanness,
right?
That they come to work just like, and they're just like ladies bringing their kids to work,
right?
Like it's interesting to see that. But she was in a real weird time where it's like, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And then once the LeBron contract came around, I just think they didn't have enough money for that quarter because he's.
It makes perfect sense, though.
I mean, it's just like
it's time to re-up with LeBron.
Yeah,
are we gonna think of a marketing
so we
strategy?
like you, right? You're having those conversations. It's not you. It's me. Like you're having those conversations because her name has always been. There's no you can't tell me that you can't do anything with Stewie.
You can't
tell in my heart of hearts.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
so you can't come up with anything,
right?
Yeah.
And she wins, like
she said she wins. Yeah, like it's like nothing at all,
right?
Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
but Stewie pulled a Serena
the other way. The other way.
Stewie said, "Oh, y'all can't market me. Y'all can't do what I need." Puma came calling.
I love that. Who was the first one to trade?
Skylar Diggins got Pumas signed with. Skylar Diggins signed with Puma, but she didn't get a shoe.
Okay.
And, yeah, I can go on a tangent for that. Don't let me start on Skylar Diggins. That's my player.
Yeah.
They doing homegirl dirty. I'm sorry, because she should have been the most marketed player in the history of women's basketball.
Does this sound bad? What I'm about to say?
Go
Is
ahead.
she too pretty? She's the sex symbol of the league.
Well, I think that harmed her. But
she's naturally pretty. It's not like she's trying to be pretty.
I think that perception. It was two things.
Okay.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And she can hoop. And like she's not oh no. Yeah. Skylar Diggins is a doll.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Like, she's a competitor. She's not nice on the court.
Yeah.
She gonna get at
That's
you.
That's another thing.
That kind of personality.
I think they don't know how to market
They don't
her.
know because the personality on court doesn't match how they look.
Yeah.
And they get threatened by it.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
And then I take it for what it is. Like, we speaking the truth right now. I think a lot of people I don't know the correct word. I have to find it. But they were intimidated because she's a beautiful woman and you can hoop. Oh, and even in the women's basketball circle, it feels like people were put off by it.
And here's the funny thing.
Why y'all hating on it? She can't help it.
This sounds bad, too, because Candace Parker is tall, because Candace Parker's not ugly. But you remember when
6'5".
But she's 6'5".
Right.
Like Skylar Diggins is like regular size.
Right.
Hey, like
you ain't gonna step to Candace Parker.
Like I'm thinking of all these things, and it's just like that's probably how they are in the marketing room.
Right.
Because I know she is like she used to beat up on people on the court.
Right. Like she's not
even in college.
And I think that's where it started because I know a lot of hype gets put to Caitlin Clark, but it truly was Skylar Diggins. She's the one who had Lil Wayne and the concert in her jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's the one who walked up against UConn and defeated them.
Hey, I'm doing it. Yeah. We're winning. We're winning this year.
Like,
and it's just like, but it's like, we're winning this year.
And it was like, oh, you got the nerve to look like that.
Yeah.
To play like that. Oh, no. That's not what we want. You got to be demure. You got to be nice. Yeah. You can't be that competitive.
Because it's so funny because I'm like, she's a mother, so she has some
right.
Yeah,
like,
so it's like you kind of can't even take it and run with the mother thing. Like, I think it's really confusing to marketing because to me, Breanna Stewart, like, it's not that she, like, vibes off it because you can see her shoes if you look at LaMelo's shoes. Mm-hmm. So you can see how Puma, because their first shoe was atrocious.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that somebody was like, we can't have what is a weird sport? Pickleball. We can't have a pickleball looking shoe on the court.
On the court.
Okay?
No.
So then they went back in there.
Right.
And so to me that actually fits her game.
Oh,
Breanna,
for sure.
Because that's another thing we should mention. When we mentioned earlier, like this is only a center shoe. Right. This looks like it can be transitional.
For sure.
And so that's what I like about Breanna Stewart.
Yeah. Because she can play
either way because she's real tall, but it's to be honest, she's not a forward. Like I don't care what her cards are. She's not a forward, though. Like if there's a forward playing like this, okay, but she's not a forward.
Right.
So it's like I like that, and like it goes back to the logo. She has a logo right there on her.
Puma said, "Listen, we're giving you a logo,
and if anything, it's too many logos on this shoe."
Right.
But it makes sense because you look at the history, and all you do is take from that. Like if I was a designer. And although I'm a consumer first and an athlete and all that, I'm athletic because I'm not I can run.
We used to be athletes,
right? So it's just like,
we just athletic a little bit.
You want to you want to show somebody what I have on,
right?
You get what I'm saying? And so that's what I like about her shoes. So for Skylar not to have that, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because Stewie's not hard on the eyes either, but it's just like she's just like a country.
Again, she's
a country
6'4".
white girl, but she's 6'4", and we seen her,
Right.
and her, like it's just different.
Right.
But I didn't know that about Skylar Diggins, that she was man.
She's on Puma.
Yeah, she needs
She's
something.
on Puma. She needs her shoe. I got to do a show about which team she about to go to, but she needs her own shoe. But shout out to Stewie. And I think I'll say one thing about Stewie's shoes too. I think with her Puma editions, it was, again, the first for me of seeing a specific shoe made for a women's player that men's basketball players wore.
Yeah.
And hoop in.
Yeah.
Like if you go to an AAU, we'll get to talk about the next player. You can see people hooping in some Stewies. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that's the new frontier.
And that's
as
what
well.
I was saying about, it when you bring this gender in, it's just about marketability.
Right.
Her nickname is Stewie. They probably don't
they
even
don't know.
It wows me because I was like, oh, she got a dope name. That's why the Chamique Holdsclaw was.
Right.
How can
It
you
was
not
right
have a
there.
claw?
Right.
Like, I'm just like thinking of designs, but it's just like, no, I want the Stewies.
Yeah.
And they did it well with naming them, because that's what boys, even if they don't supposed to be watching
Right.
Family Guy, they probably
They
could
think
care
these
less.
the Stewies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know if she's not on the box. I know her logo's on the box. I haven't seen her box, but it's like, I don't think her face is on the box. She ain't got no retro card in there, but it's just like they know that these is good looking shoes.
Yeah.
And especially if you're on like you said, an AAU team, is everybody's gonna try to wear the same thing a little bit. So yeah.
That's it. But shout out to Breanna
interesting.
Stewart and also to Skylar Diggins. We had to give
Hey,
her some love in there.
Y'all got to figure it out in the marketing rooms about Skylar.
They butchered, like, I can go on. That's a
Candace,
whole nother show.
Candace is about to start the fan club.
Yeah, like, they just. But that's a women's basketball thing. I'm not even going to put it on an overall thing.
Okay.
I think because of how she looks
Yeah.
and how she plays.
Yeah.
I
I think that's where they put her.
They were just like, oh, we can't
just
have
doing
you
it.
be the face. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
She should have been everywhere.
She should have. Yeah.
Like, she led the league in minutes and scoring while pregnant. Like, what are you doing?
She's
missed
y'all
it.
not seeing
Y'all
what's
not
going
seeing
on.
what I'm seeing.
Right.
But the next player and the last player on the list who's had a signature shoe is Sabrina Ionescu. As many people know, she went to the University of Oregon, now with the New York Liberty. She had a nice run at Oregon, just kind of ran up against the Stanfords and the South Carolinas.
Yeah.
But once she got to the league, triple doubles everywhere, that whole thing. And Nike was like, hey, you have the name recognition.
Yeah.
We're going to give you the shoe. And then you were schooling me about just the interest
of her shoe. I have a couple of friends that play international basketball, male friends. And that one, like, my friend was like, that rivals the Kobe. Her shoe rivals the Kobe. I don't even think it's international. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like certain international players.
It's
I
a
think
fly shoe.
The shoe is bananas. And it's been on, so, well, they don't call it Nike ID anymore, but Nike by You. Mm-hmm. The color, you give people time with the shoe to make it their own. And I think it makes it better. But then you can also see with this shoe, the front of it. So the front of it is similar to the Kobe 6 with the scales. They just made them smaller.
Yeah.
And then the details, which is that swoosh being etched in there or whatever. What am I trying to say? Embroidered. It's embroidered in there. There's fly wire under there. They haven't used fly wire.
That's right.
Yeah, in a long time.
Right.
So I don't know if this shoe was, because I'm trying to figure out, like, of course they've had the behind the design and stuff like that. But this shoe, I don't think is made for women. I think it's just a basketball shoe.
It's just a basketball shoe.
Yeah, so because I think even the newer players that we mentioned, they might have some, but they usually use a men's cast. What's the one brand called? Moolah,
yep.
So her whole thing.
That's just a shoe made for women.
But the way, like, I don't know if you've been on their website or whatever, or just been on their Instagram. They are doing the NIL thing. So they have so many athletes that wear this shoe. But her whole thing about using a women's foot cast to build the shoe around, that, I mean, you'll hear it because it's just what type of player you are. Do you wear thick socks? Do you wear thin socks?
Right.
Do you have something else? So I haven't heard that. But you see so many guys
wearing
playing in this shoe.
Yes, even in the league,
And
it's a popular shoe.
And like I said, you give people that, although you don't like PEs, you give people that feel of, making it mine.
Right.
And and after that, gender goes away.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's not even here anymore.
Yeah.
This is a good looking shoe. And especially if it plays well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people just, like, I think, I'll say 3 years ago, I saw young men like in the March Madness, you know, an attorney playing in Jordans. I know their feet was burning.
Oh, absolutely.
Jordans are not.
They're not listen,
Jordan retros are not to be played.
Them are not
in.
basketball shoes.
Yeah.
These are now comfort shoes.
You have to be switching those shoes at halftime or something. And then it's just like, I'm sure your feet after that, I mean, you got what you was trying to get out of.
Right.
But that's
even Jordan's feet bled playing
that's
in
not
Jordans.
a good shoe. Yeah. And it's the technology of it.
Yeah. And to make to connect, I know it's not the same, but the connection with men's shoes we could identify, but the connection with Sabrina's, obviously she had a connection with Kobe, and you see that infused.
Yeah.
But I think the good thing of marketing in this is that they put her first name.
It's only on her.
It's Sabrina one. So when you say the shoe, these are the Sabrinas.
But you see how it's different, you know what I'm saying, with the Stewie, and then either it is or it is not going to work.
Yeah. This is maybe the next evolution. Can we sell a shoe that is specifically, these are the Sabrinas? That's what you're going in the store to ask for.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that they're popular. They're popular in the NBA. They're obviously popular in the W internationally. But Sabrina Ionescu they released last year, was the first player of the current kind of iteration of the WNBA
too. And
to have her own shoe.